पॉलिसी बाजार पर 1 करोड़ रुपए का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस केवल 450 रुपए महीने से शुरू। वाव!
Hello there, you're watching Left, Right and Centre on NDTV. I'm Maha Siddiqui. The land is literally slipping from under their feet. The residents of Joshimath in Uttarakhand have been spending their bitterly cold nights out on the streets because their warm homes are no longer their safe haven. Huge cracks have come up in hundreds of houses over the past weeks and have become dangerously wider. Around 600 families have now been evacuated. A team of the National Disaster Response Force and 4 teams of the State Disaster Response Force are stationed in Joshimath. But the anguish and the anger of the residents is speaking. Here's why. For years, experts have warned that large-scale construction work, including hydropower projects in and around Joshimath, could lead to land subsidence, the sinking or the settling of the ground surface. Locals blame the National Thermal Power Corporation's Tapovan Vishnugarh project, that is the hydropower project, for the current crisis. The tunnelling being done for the project is detrimental for this sensitive area that also falls under one of the country's most seismically active regions, officially classified as Zone 5, that's very severe intensity zone. All construction activities in and around Joshimath in the state's Chamoli district, including the mega projects that we're talking about, like Char Dham All-Weather Road, Hilang Marwari Bypass and the NTPC's Hydel project, have now been halted on the demand of the residents. But is it too little too late? Can Joshimath be saved? That's our discussion this evening on Left, Right and Centre. Let me now introduce our guests who are joining us on the show. Shadab Shams, spokesperson of the BJP Uttarakhand, former Minister of State in Uttarakhand, will be joining us shortly. Sujata Paul, spokesperson of the Congress Party, will be with us. Atul Sati, the convener of group Joshimath Bachao Sangharsh Samiti, is also going to be with us on the show. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India, is with us. Indresh Mekhuri, activist and member of Save Joshimath campaign, Garhwal Secretary of the CPIML, also with us here, and SP Sati, Professor, Geology, College of Forestry, Rani Chauri, Terry Garhwal, with us. Let me go across to Dr. Sudhir, first of all, with regards to the sensitivity of this area particularly, and how the study or the assessment is conducted before any big projects, sir, are given a go-ahead or they hit the ground running. Has there been a fault prima facie in the NTPC project, and that shouldn't have been given a go-ahead?
So, I think this area requires proper regional planning, and planning not only for a project, but planning for the whole area, not only for Joshimath, but surrounding 100 meter radius area. I mean, just giving a thumb rule, because it is part of the Himalayan region. And Himalayan region is not like Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is a solid rock area, but Himalayan area has a loose soil area. It has got rubbles, it has got loose soil. You know, it has evolved like it was never part of the solid earth, and therefore large constructions must not be taken up at all. In fact, you travel around in the Himalayan area, you find multi-story buildings are coming up as if it is the Indo-Gangetic plain. It is not like that. So that is one reason that we should undertake thorough regional planning, and along with that local planning also.
So that is why I asked you, what kind of assessment reports are prepared as far as the environment is concerned before a project is given a go-ahead? Do you think there were any faults in that assessment?
See, the assessment reports are prepared, but these are prepared for the project. It is does not take care of the entire area, you know. Entire area reports are also available, starting with Mishra Committee report of 1976, and subsequently large number of reports are available for the Himalayan region. But those reports are on one side, but a project is taken up, a construction activity or a specific project is taken up, it takes care of the localized study only, whether the dam can be built.
Okay.
The dam, you know.
So I'll interrupt you there because I want to go across now to Shadab Shams for a response to that. Shadab Shams, were these studies undertaken, local studies that Dr. Sudhir is talking about here, which are necessary for any mega or large-scale infrastructure project?
देखिए, मैं पूरी तरह से डॉक्टर सुधीर से भी सहमत हूँ और मैं इतना जरूर कहूंगा कि हम सब लोग अभी जो 6 सदस्य कमेटी केंद्र से बनाई गई है वो सबके नॉलेज में है। हम सब जानते हैं कि जो रिपोर्ट्स पहले भी आई है उसमें लगातार ये जो हमारे भूवैज्ञानिक हैं वो सब लोग कह रहे हैं कि 85 मिलीमीटर्स लगातार इन एवरी ईयर जोशीमठ इज गोइंग डाउन। तो हम सिर्फ इतना कह रहे हैं कि हम सब लोगों को बहुत चिंता है। पीएमओ और सीएमओ लगातार, आज माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी की माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से अभी वार्ता हुई है, उन्होंने ट्वीट करके भी बताया है और उन्होंने ये कहा है कि हम बहुत संजीदा हैं और इसलिए केंद्र से भी एक 6 सदस्य कमेटी बनाई गई है जिसमें तमाम लाइंस को रखा गया है। अभी एनटीपीसी का भी ट्वीट आया है, उन्होंने भी ये बोला है कि दिस इज नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ अस। हम इस पे नहीं जा रहे हैं अभी क्योंकि बहस का मुद्दा नहीं है। हम ये चाहते हैं कि हम जोशीमठ को कैसे बचाएं। जोशीमठ को बचाना हमारी प्रायोरिटीज होनी चाहिए।
शादाब शम्स जी, एक मिनट आपको इंटरप्ट करूंगी। आप कह रहे हैं हम बहुत संजीदा हैं, देयर इज सीरियसनेस ओवर दिस इशू, लेकिन गुस्सा रेजिडेंट्स में इस वजह से है क्योंकि उनको लगता है उनके घर टूट रहे हैं। उनकी जो जिंदगी भर की जमा पूंजी थी, दे हैव इन्वेस्टेड ऑल देयर मनी इन दैट हाउस दैट दे हैव बिल्ट, दैट इज कमिंग crumbling down. Their entire lives are shattered now. सब इधर उधर बिखर गए हैं। उनको आपने evacuate जरूर किया है, लेकिन आगे क्या होगा? क्या बच पाएंगे उनके घर? क्या वो वापस जा पाएंगे? Those are the questions they are asking you.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, मैं आपके हर प्रश्न को बहुत ईमानदारी से ले रहा हूं। जो लोगों को दुख है, जो दर्द है, हम उस दर्द के साथ खड़े हैं। हमें मालूम है घर टूटना क्या होता है, आदमी कैसे बनाता है उस घर को। इसलिए मेरी सरकार ने कहा हम हर जो हम कर सकते होंगे वो हम करेंगे और इसलिए हमने 2000 फैब्रिकेटेड हाउस एनटीपीसी को बोल दिया है कि आप तैयार कर दीजिए। जो प्री फैब्रिकेटेड होंगे उसके लिए सब चीज तैयारियां पूरी हो गई हैं। हमने लोगों को इवैक्यूएट करके बहुत सारे लोगों को भेज दिया है। 580 परिवार अभी तक जो चयनित हुए हैं कि 580 फैमिलीज अभी तक वहां पे हैं। उन लोगों में से हमने पूरी तैयारी, हमने कहा 2000, हम इससे भी आगे की सोच रहे हैं कि, और हम तो जहां हम रहते हैं बाबा बद्री बाबा केदार की भूमि, और लगातार हम लोग प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं कि ऊपर वाली इस प्रकृति का आपदा से ऊपर भी एक कोई है, वो ईश्वर है और हम इसलिए बाबा से प्रार्थना करें।
But sir, this is almost like saying that the situation is now out of control for us, and therefore we are looking at divine intervention here.
It's not out of control. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ, ये एक हमें दो बातों को, हमें पैनिक नहीं फैलाना और मैं ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट भी नहीं हूँ, लेकिन मैं इस बात को इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि हमारे लोग, ये आज कोई पहली बार नहीं हुआ है, लगातार ये जो मामला चल रहा है काफी लंबे समय से चल रहा है। इसके नीचे जो हम सब जानते हैं कि जो वैज्ञानिक बता रहे हैं, जो भूवैज्ञानिक बता रहे हैं,
शादाब शम्स, that really is the point here. If we all know that these are regions that are environmentally sensitive, ecologically sensitive too, and any construction work here requires thorough planning and assessment, how has this slip up happened? Professor Sati, NTPC is saying that this is not our doing, but the locals here blame the tunneling that is continuing here, or rather it's been halted now but was happening some time back, for what's currently happened. Their lives have been destroyed, there are cracks in their houses, they are not feeling safe there. I want to understand, and a part of it Dr. Sudhir has explained to us, the local assessment that is done. But how can an assessment be so faulty that 600 houses are, or 600 families have really been, left to fend for themselves? They have nothing now. They have to leave their homes and be evacuated.
Are you asking to me?
Yes, Professor Sati, that's for you.
You are asking about how the NTPC's claim is, how much it is clear,
yes,
how much is confident. Actually, what people of the region, they are accusing for last so many years that NDPC has used extensively the explosives during the constructions of these tunnels. And again, in 2021, there was a disaster when this under construction tunnel was locked by, and it was flooded with the water and silt. and they claim that the water is coming from, that locked water is coming due to percolation, and that this is a prime culprit of this event. And it was a coincidence that after 7th February 2021, this whole incident of this subsidence, it started actually. So there is this may be a coincidence, or this may be that this tunnel may be the culprit. We don't know. As a scientist, I cannot say at this point of time that this tunnel is the culprit. Okay. But there are methods which can trace the things, that whether this water is the culprit. You can take the sample from Dhauliganga or from this tunnel, the sample of water and the water which is coming down in Malari, and we can take both the samples. We can test into the laboratories. There are markers, there are isotope studies which can trace out the water from where this water is coming. But the claim of the agency to whom people are saying that they are the culprit, that their claim cannot be you cannot say that is unbiased claim. The unbiased claim will come from the scientists itself, and the scientists through the laboratory. These things cannot be claimed in both ways.
Okay. But all right, fair enough, sir. We got your point there. This needs further studies to ascertain where the blame really goes at the moment. But Indresh Mekuri, while, we are all talking about this being a sensitive area, that assessments need to be conducted, but at the end of the day, we can't deny the fact that infrastructure development is equally important, especially in states like Uttarakhand that also form the borders of the country. How does one then abandon projects? How do you strike that balance?
So it's not a question of abandoning projects, but it's a question of that we have got a term called sustainable development. And what does that sustainable development mean? Sustainable development means causing least damage to the environment, causing least damage to the land. It does not mean that you are bringing a project for the tunnel-based hydropower projects which are built through dynamiting and all that blasting things. So we need sustainable development. We need hydropower, we need power, we need roads, we need everything. But the question is, development for whom? Development for the locals, the people who are residing there, development for them, or development for the multinational companies, for the contractors, for big players, development for whom? This is a big question. And what has this development given to us? It is a disastrous development model. It is a model of disastrous development. It has always brought disaster to us. Without taking the fragile ecology of this area into concern, these projects have been planned. And that is why we, right from the inception of this project, that was way back in 2003 and 2004, people have been opposing this project of NTPC. And now people are in a hurry, the government and its spokesperson are in a hurry to give clean chit to that company. All right,
but you just heard Professor Sati there. He's saying this requires a little more assessment to find out whether NTPC is to be blamed alone for this.
Of course, there is a need of a scientific study, but the question is, when the secretary gives clean chit to the company, says there is no such study, that the company is responsible, I beg to differ. There are studies. Even the scientist who was in the government panel, when he was not in the government panel, he said that NTPC has caused a problem, and when he is on the panel of the government, he says no, the tunnel is not to be blamed.
All right. So basically, what is to be done at the moment has been done. That project has been halted, but where was the mistake? Was there a mistake in the assessment? Was the tunneling that is being done by use of dynamite, as is being now revealed, was the process wrong? All this will be revealed in a short while when this matter is thoroughly investigated. But for the moment, the lives of the people, the residents, are in complete tatter. Sujata Paul, I understand that the Congress party has now formed a committee to look into the government projects and assess the ground situation. Are these efforts, even as an opposition party, happening belatedly? Should the opposition party have stepped in earlier and tried to build pressure on the government?
You know, Maha, we have been trying to tell the government that there should be sustainable development. There should be a balance between the ecology and, development of the area, because we are living in an eco-fragile zone. Everybody knows that there is tectonic activity happening under us. We know that we are on seismic zone 4. So this is not rocket science. And we have been asking the government to halt or at least slow down, for example, the Char Dham route building process. And let me tell you that today the demand of the Sangharsh Samiti, where Atul Satiji is there, he'll tell you more about it. Their demand is that the area of the Char Dham route between Helang and Marwari should be stopped, because blasting has been happening rampantly. On the 3rd of January, when the cracks appeared and they became really huge, at that time people came out on the streets. What was the reason? Because there was a TBM or a tunnel boring machine which had got stuck, and to get it out, they were blasting brazenly and blatantly, and people realized that this was probably because of that. Also, the cutting and blasting which was happening for building the bypass is also responsible for it, and nobody can deny that this kind of development is not required in our hills, because we are living under an area which is, the area in Joshimath is basically made of glacial debris. This is not rocket science, Maha. So the government should have understood. Mr. Ravi Chopra, after the Chamoli disaster of 2021, resigned because nobody was listening to him. He kept saying that the mountain should not be cut, the gradient should not be increased. And today we are facing the first step of this disaster. Okay. This is not going to stop. The last point. There are cracks which are appearing in other places also, like in Karnaprayag. What are we going to do? The government cannot say that, we are going to be doing something. Mr. Sati will tell you that the chief minister had gone, but he said that I will go back and then decide what has to be done.
All right. So we'll take a response to that from Shadab Shams. Sir, before that, let me bring in Atul Sati, who's also with us now on the show. Atul Sati, for how long have the residents and your group been trying to bring to the attention of the government the grave situation that could have emerged in Joshimath? And what was the response of the local authorities so far, is what I want to understand before all hell broke loose.
Yes.
Atul Sati, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Atul Sati, I want to know, for how long have you all been trying to bring to the attention of the government that this grave situation could emerge? And specifically, what had their response been so far?
हम तो लगातार पिछले 14 महीने से, जब पहली बार नवंबर 2021 में कुछ घरों में दरारें आनी शुरू हुई, तभी से हम लोग इस सवाल को उठा रहे थे, बोल रहे थे। और 2021 नवंबर तो अभी की बात, लेकिन ये परियोजना का सवाल है, जिस परियोजना को हम सबसे बड़ा कारण मान रहे हैं इस आपदा के लिए, उसके खिलाफ तो हम 2003 से लड़ रहे हैं। 2003 दिसंबर में हमने पहला पत्र राष्ट्रपति को लिखा, और उसके बाद लगातार 2005 में इनकी जनसुनवाई भी, उसमें सवाल उठाया।
अतुल सती जी, क्लैरिफाई करेंगे कौन से प्रोजेक्ट के स्पेसिफिकली की आप बात करें?
मैं कह रहा हूं तपोवन विष्णुघाट परियोजना, जो कि एनटीपीसी बना रही है
जी,
और जिसकी सुरंग जोशीमठ के बिल्कुल नीचे से जा रही है। भले एनटीपीसी कह रही है कि हमारी सुरंग नहीं जा रही है, लेकिन उनकी जो मेन टनल है वो नहीं जा रही है, जो फंस गई है, जिसमें टीवीएम फंसी हुई। लेकिन उसके बगल में उन्होंने एक बाईपास टनल बनाई, जो विस्फोटकों से बनाई, वो ठीक जोशीमठ के नीचे से है, और वो जो है इस आपदा का सबसे बड़ा कारण है। और हो ये रहा है कि सरकार सारा ब्लेम स्थानीय लोगों पर डाल दे रही है कि इन लोगों ने मकान बनाए इसलिए हुआ। हम लोग तो बहुत सालों से यहाँ बस रहे। तो एक तो ये बड़ा कारण है, और सरकार ने इसको सुना नहीं। अगर सरकार पहले सुन लेती, पिछले 14 महीनों में ही अगर कुछ कर लिया गया होता, तो शायद आपदा का जो ये मैग्नीट्यूड है, इसकी जो इतना बढ़ गया है, शायद नहीं होता। और आज भी जब जो है ये सब हो गया, हम सूबे के मुख्यमंत्री के पास 1 जनवरी को गए, उन्होंने हमको सुनना गवारा नहीं किया। उसके पहले हम जो है आपदा प्रबंधन सचिव से 26 अगस्त को मिले, उन्होंने कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। उसके बाद जो है लोगों को सड़कों पर उतरना पड़ा, मशाल जुलूस निकालना पड़ा, चक्का जाम लगाना पड़ा। अब जाकर के सरकार थोड़ा एक्शन मोड में आई है, लेकिन अभी भी जो है जो एक्शन मोड है, उसमें कोई मैनेजमेंट नहीं है, कोई जो है सामंजस्य नहीं है, कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं है। ये वैसा ही है जैसे 2021 की 7 फरवरी की आपदा थी, वहां भी कोई कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं था। यहाँ तक कि
अतुल सती जी, आपको यहाँ पे रोकूंगी क्योंकि आपने जो the problems that the residents have been facing and the fact that you all have been raising it for over years, you've made that point. Let me go across to Shadab Shams now for a response. Shadab Shams, so what is the plan to save Joshimath? Can it be saved?
हम पूरी विश्वास के साथ इस बात को कह रहे हैं। मैंने फिर कहा कि पीएमओ सतर्क है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अभी माननीय मुख्यमंत्री पुष्कर धामी जी से वार्ता की है ऑन फोन, और उन्होंने कहा है कि जो 6 सदस्य कमेटी यहाँ पे आई है 3 दिन में उसने भी रिपोर्ट देनी है, और हर संभव मदद देने के लिए केंद्र सरकार की पूरी बारीक निगाह उत्तराखंड के ऊपर है। आर्मी को अलर्ट पे रखा गया है। जो हम ये बात कह रहे थे, अभी मैं इस बात पे बिल्कुल नहीं जाऊंगा जो सुजाता पॉल जी कह रही थी कि 2003 में जब सती जी धरने पे बैठ रहे थे, अतुल सती जी, तब किसकी सरकार थी और कब ये प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट हुआ था, अभी उस पे नहीं जा रहे हैं क्योंकि कांग्रेस का बीजेपी का खेल नहीं है। हम सिर्फ इसलिए कह रहे हैं कि हम उत्तराखंड है, हम सब ये कोशिश करते हैं कि हमें डेवलपमेंट भी करना है, और इस डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ हमें अपने बच्चों को रोजगार भी देना है, और इस प्रकृति को भी बचाना है, एनवायरनमेंट को भी बचाना है। और ये क्योंकि लगातार जो अभी एक हम किसी नतीजे पे नहीं पहुंचे हैं, किसी सोल्यूशन पे नहीं पहुंच पा रहे, सब लोग इस बात को लेकर चिंतित है आखिर ये हो क्यों रहा है। अगर इसके लिए एनटीपीसी जिम्मेदार है तो इस काम को पूरी तरह से टनल को भी भर दिया जाएगा और काम को रुकवा दिया जाएगा। लेकिन अगर वाकई ये नीचे जो
Shadab Shams, it's not about one project alone, perhaps. It's about the awareness that even a political class should have about any sort of project that is undertaken, which should be in sync with the nature. I think Sujata Paul wants to respond. Ma'am, I can give you 30 seconds. Yes.
Let me complete.
Let her make a point, sir. We have really very little time left now. Sujata Paul.
Baha, you know, the political angle to this has been mentioned by Mr. Shadab Shams. The PMO is now looking into the matter. These are our hills. These are our, people. And the Chief Minister has not been able to take a decision. Why? This means that the Chief Minister has not been able to tell the PMO earlier that this should not happen.
Each and every person. You cannot.
At that time also, it was made clear that they should stop. Because there was a tunnel which was flooded even at that time. But did they stop? No. Should the government not have informed the PMO?
That's why.
Okay. So Shadab Shams is saying it's not as if the situation is out of the control of the state government. However, the Prime Minister's office had to step in. The reality is that the PMO had to step in, Shadab Shams, in this situation. I understand that this is a very grave situation now, but the state government should have been able to try at least to tackle it. Professor Sati, families have been evacuated, disaster management teams are now in place, projects have been halted. Just a second. But realistically, Professor Sati, can the residents of Joshimath go back to living in their houses in the near future, or is it just too risky now, this entire region?
I'm not indulged in this political accusing one each other, but the harsh reality is that most of the houses are not suitable for living further, and it may be quite possible that most of the houses will be collapsed in few days or few months. So, and nobody has the answer, no scientist has the answer whether the Joshimath township will be saved, because most of the part of the Joshimaths, they are rapidly subsiding towards the Alakranda valley in the down. And yes, it was a very insensitive issue, very insensitive stand of the political parties or ruling parties or nobody. We submitted a report in June, July. On the request of Mr. Atul Sati and his agitating team, and then after we submitted this report to them, they sent it to government. Government sent some panel there, and then after no step could be taken by the government. I don't know why it was so indifferent. I should not talk in this way. I'm a scientist over here, but I can see what is the behavior or what is the stand of the how serious the
Dr. Sudhir Krishna, this area, as has already been highlighted, is in one of the most intense seismic zones, meaning it's highly prone to earthquakes. In that context, weren't authorities literally playing with the lives of the people? Today, Professor Sati is saying that these houses are not livable anymore.
Well, madam,
Unfortunately, it's very true. It is the only truth from science.
What I would say that the efforts of the government in providing relief to the people is really appreciable. They are doing a lot. 4,000 rupees a month. But the point is that the fundamentals have to be resolved. Now, as the disaster relief team, disaster management authority, disaster force and border management department, they are all active. That is good. But equally, if not more active, should be the town planning department, regional planning department, along with the geology and geomorphology studies, satellite imageries, all kinds of things. This study should take place in a much bigger way than relief part. Relief has to be done because somebody has been impacted. That is all right.
Dr. Sudhir, I'll interrupt you there, sir. We have the last 30 seconds left, so I want to go across to Indrish Maikuri. Indrish, do you think Joshimath can still be saved?
We want Joshimath to be saved because it is an important city, because it is an important township, and that is why we are calling for that it should be saved. And one thing I just want to point out that it was in last August 2022, the government also, after Dr. Sati's report, which the report Dr. Sati described, after that report, government sent a panel to Joshimath. Government panel submitted its report. We went to the Secretary of Disaster Management.
Okay.
He promised us that I'll visit Joshimath very soon. And when did he came? It was on August 26, 2022, we met him. And he came here on January, a few days back. That is full 6 months. No action on the report of the panel.
All right. Basically, the underlying point that you're trying to make, Indrish, is that had action been taken a little earlier, chances of saving Joshimath would have been much higher, but we still earnestly hope that it's not too little, too late. Many thanks to all our panelists for joining us here on the show.